Hi, Maggie here again. It's been some time since I did my last video, and I know I've been saying that for the last few videos, but main problem has been I've moved down to Arizona now, and I think I mentioned that, and how I was starting to look into becoming a voiceover artist. That's all developed, and that's been great, but I really haven't had anywhere that I've had a quiet space where I've been able to record these videos. So I have to say a big thank you to our local radio station, who I'm starting to do work for, just recording PSAs and underwriting things for them. And they've graciously allowed me to use their studio on a quiet time so that I can record these videos. So a big thank you to them. I want to try and see if I can get back to doing these a little bit more regularly, because I think now there's a lot of tension and worry surrounding our community at this time, particularly in America. And I think it's important that we show solidarity in community, and find ways of looking after each other and comforting each other. So the thought that's occurred to me lately that I wanted to share with you, and it's interesting how I call these thoughts from a changing mind way back when I started these, that this is a thought which is going to be almost like a circular thought, I think, in a way, and is just something that I think off the top of my mind. So I'm not saying any of this is right, wrong, or indifferent. It's just the way that my mind thinks about a particular subject, so bear with me. I know that for a lot of people, how they present is important, and they put a lot of stress on themselves to make sure they present as accurately and as faithfully and everything else as possible, so that they can avoid getting misgendered. I still regularly am misgendered, and at times it can be annoying, at other times it's just, I understand it's not easy for people. But I wonder also how much stress we're putting on ourselves when it comes to how well we present, and the dysphoria that actually drives that. And I was also thinking about, okay, is dysphoria like, and I don't say it's a mental disease, I'm not saying that, but is it something that, like a mental condition, is in you, that is created, and it's difficult for you to actually deal with? Or is it something that we actually create ourselves by putting expectations on things? And I know that for myself, there's been many times when I've felt that I wanted to aspire to what was traditionally the very feminine stereotype, being pretty and everything else, which I still appreciate. I really like. I mean, I'm a little dressed up today. I enjoy that. I really do. It makes me feel good. But then again, I start looking around, and I think, look at the ladies that are around me. Look at the females that are out there, and they always talk about how there's this pressure to conform, whether it's to be slim, whether it's to be beautiful, whether it's to stay young, or whatever. They have those same pressures. And is it that we are just following on for the pressures that they have to conform to a particular vision of the female form, and that we just take it to the next extreme, because obviously we're coming from much further back to try and achieve that? And when you do look at people around you in the normal everyday community who are female, there are some certainly that are dressed up to a high standard and have their makeup done to a high standard, but there's also a lot of ordinary normal people, for want of a better argument, better term, who don't dress up every day, don't put makeup on every day, or even at all, and they are perfectly good females. So I wonder how much of this dysphoria and this pressure to present to a certain standard we put on ourselves by wanting to go to the maximum degree of dressing up and doing the makeup and everything else, and whether in fact we should be more easy on ourselves and allow ourselves sometimes to just dress down, to relax, to still be female, to be who we want to be inside, but not have to feel that pressure to provide an exterior symbol of being female. What it comes down to is how we have been shown a lot of courage to make the break and start to live and express who we want to be. And the important milestone in that is actually feeling that inside and believing it inside of us. Trying to convince others of that is always going to be an uphill struggle, and not everyone's going to accept it or believe it or whatever. But why do we put pressure on ourselves and cause doubt about our belief in ourselves by trying to aspire to something that pretty much is artificial and which even cis females have difficulty aspiring to? So is there a way that we can actually reduce our dysphoria by actually setting ourselves more sensible expectations about being female? I'm not saying that we give up the desire to want to dress nicely or do makeup, and if that's you and that's what you want to do, absolutely right. It's all very, very individual, but it's more to the point, as I say, I come across a lot of people who are under a constant stress and get themselves incredibly depressed by wanting to always be, turned up to 10 or going at 110 miles an hour, just rather than just saying, I am who I am. I believe in me. I'm happy and comfortable in being me. And what I project is immaterial. If I feel I'm female, if I feel I'm beautiful, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter that we don't necessarily have our makeup done perfectly or we dress perfectly. Sometimes we just want to be us inside, and that should be good enough. We shouldn't feel pressure to do what other people expect. So, as I say, it's a bit of a circular thought because, I can understand the reasons for dysphoria. I can understand the reasons for wanting to do your best. But at times, there's got to be times when you can just relax and just say, I'm good enough as I am. And those days where you look in the mirror and think, oh, that's not very good. I don't feel very female. Well, maybe it's because we're putting out too much expectation on ourselves. And in fact, at that moment, we are possibly more like a normal female than anyone else because they feel the same pressures and the same worries. So, as I say, no necessary conclusions on that, but I'm just sharing this with you because it's something that goes round and round in my head, and I just think that, if it's going around and round in your head, then think about it a little more and realize that you don't have to be perfect all the time. And in fact, there's no way you can ever be perfect. Just be happy in you, and that's all that matters. Anyway, in the meantime, I hope everything's going well. Please take care and stay safe because it's important to do so at the moment. It's really, really difficult, and I just want to make sure everyone's safe. If you like this, please, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, follow, whatever it is. And, if you've got any comments, please share those with me too. I would love to hear from them. And like I say, I know it's been, several months between videos up to now, but I'm hoping I can get to do the next one a little bit more regularly, and we'll get to share some time again soon. So in the meantime, big hugs and see you again soon. Okay, bye for now.